This week on Take It Personal, we're talking about what real power looks like, whether it's WNBA players rewriting the rules, a dead uncle's cookbag going viral, or the Clipse showing us what it means to age in your purpose. Oh, and someone definitely got caught cheating on a kiss cam, and we'll get into a little of that too. Okay, so welcome to episode 5 of Take It Personal. I'm Steph. I'm here with my co-hosts, Will and Jamie. Say hi, guys.
Hello.
I don't know why I did it that way. Just
So
I am now.
Kermit the Frog over there.
Yeah.
I think we have a pretty interesting show today and some things that we were taking personal this week and last week. Thanks to any of you that commented and liked our last couple of videos. I know Jamie had an amazing Superman follow-up after he saw the movie, which was really exciting because I had not still seen it. So your review was amazing. And
I can't wait for you to see it. It's so good. It's so good.
It was a great, very helpful review.
Well, have you seen it?
I have not. We're going to go this weekend, though. We almost went yesterday, but we saw Jurassic Park instead.
Oh, how was it?
It was very good.
Okay. Well, that was not what I was expecting.
Very entertaining. But about half the movie, you're kind of like, is anyone acting? Or it's like everyone was just like slightly not the right cast for their role, like except for the kids. It's like, so it's kind of weird, but I mean, big dinosaur, go bite, get angry. I mean, what else do you want in the Jurassic Park movie? So yeah. Superman this weekend.
Yeah. Superman for sure. And it'll tie into kind of my bigger theme. So I'll hold off on my complete opinions till we get there. But
I like that. And I think my previous video was sharing some of the bits and clips that happened from 2 nights of Beyonce and the Cowboy Carter tour. She did it again. I think I showed the evidence of her doing it again.
Did you see the video of the Beyonce thing in Atlanta? So the crowd was getting off the escalator, and I don't know where in Atlanta, and a little girl saw a bug or something and freaked out, and it turned into like
mayhem.
Dead people. I mean, I don't think anybody actually died, but it was
but someone got hurt because it was
it was wild. That was crazy.
Sadly, Jamie, I didn't know which thing you were talking about in Atlanta because that happened. I feel like a horse that she was riding didn't work out in Atlanta, and her tapes were stolen. Her choreographer called the police, which was all over the news and fascinating. But we're going to do our damnedest to leave the Carter family in the past this week, even though we may not make it. But for anyone who's still interested, and there's still much more to look forward to in future weeks. But yeah, go check out those 2 videos about Superman and Beyonce.
Before we get to my tangent, I will go back to what we were saying, which is thank you to everyone who has liked and subscribed and pushed the follow button and all those things. As a reminder, you can follow Take It Personal on all your favorite podcast platforms. So go find us out. And anyone who has, thank you very much to the people who have given us reviews on Apple and such. They were lovely. I saw some of them before last weekend, and it was really nice. People said really nice things, and not a lot of people say really nice things these days. And it was great. So thank you to everyone who's done that.
Well said. Well said.
And my mini music tangent, which we'll get to, is we don't need to go into it. We should go straight from this into our clips and reactions and talks. Since I think we had our last episode, I don't know, it may have been a month, but I switched to Spotify from Apple Music and have already switched back to Apple Music because I think my explanation to them and the why are you leaving was just, I am not cool enough for Spotify. It's too cool for me. It's too much stuff, too many buttons, it's too much. I'm too old. Apple does a really good job with classical music too, which I feel like also That's everything we need to get into about this.
All right, so here's two takes on that. One for each one kind of negative for each of those platforms. One, Spotify doesn't pay their artists dick
at all.
They barely pay their artists. So, and I'm a huge Spotify guy, which really kind of sits with me and sits in my craw because it's so easy to access. But Apple Music has their own catalog of AI software that is taking what the artists that they have and doing their own AI version and composing and generating classical music in particular. Oh. They have a whole division of that. So I have a big problem with Apple Music because they're doing that nonsense.
Let's get into what's been all over our feeds and what's been taking up space in our group chat this week.
So I think we've got some TikToks, clips, and reactions to get into. Steph, you want to lead us off?
So the WNBA had their All-Star weekend in Indianapolis, and it was fun on the court, but also it was a bunch, I think, of really interesting insights about business and media and culture. So first let me set it up. WNBA All-Star game. It's like multiple days, events for younger fans, for older fans, signings. People complained it was going to be in Indianapolis, and it's like, that's not Miami. But also, it's still an all-star game. You have to have them in the cities that the teams exist in. So they have it. One of the things that's unplanned, though, is that two of the players on I believe it was the Minnesota Lynx is the team that they play for. But they have a stream and a live stream and a Twitch stream originally that is them hanging out after their games. They are two very, very clearly queer women. And so the name of their show is Stud Budz. Stud standing for a type of lesbian figure. Sometimes it's used appropriately and nicely. Sometimes it's used as a derogatory term. I see it as a term of endearment these days. And they're best buds. So the name of the show is Stud Budz. The show has existed since the beginning of the season. So maybe since February or March or April, where they're hanging out and talking. They did a 72-hour long Twitch stream, though, for the WNBA game. And it was chaotic and very queer and was like a masterclass in branding your own celebrity during a negotiation. Because it wasn't a PR team, but they had video of all the WNBA players basically at a prom or dance. And like Caitlyn is high-fiving Angel, and like the coaches are doing the line dance with the players. It's everything that they say are probably issues with the branding of the WNBA is like they don't get along as players. The teammates aren't very recognizable. All of the biggest stars were together, and it was done through this, what Will might call guerrilla marketing effect of like a bunch of chaotic cameras showing all of the shit. Multiple people now believe that other players are in relationships or in cheating on each other after this live stream. It was like, it was community, it was content, and it raised everyone's celebrity because they were like, oh, these women are beautiful, tall, good looking, and fun.
So I feel like the way that the WNBA has been like approaching a lot of their like marketing and the way I've seen them getting out there feels very NBA like. I think the NBA does it better than absolutely anybody else. And when people like talk shit about NBA ratings, I'm like, I don't know that the NBA actually really cares that much because their brand is so much broader. The people who are just looking at what's happening on TV are missing probably half of what's happening in the NBA because so many of those players are like cultural icons in one way or another. They do so much stuff outside the NBA. And I think this is one that, again, like, I feel like I just said this, like the NBA has figured out that so many other leagues just are not behind, which is they don't necessarily say it out loud, but they seem to really encourage the players, or at least it's part of their like negotiate the collective bargaining agreement and all that stuff, that like they really get to go out there and do fashion, culture, music, all that stuff. So it's like the NBA has this insanely huge following amongst younger people, which is the audience that like every old ass white dude in media is like, we gotta get the youths. And it's like the NBA is just like, yeah, we got them. We're good. Because this live stream thing, I don't know if it was officially sanctioned or not, or if it was like a wink behind the scenes, like, hey guys,
it feels more like that. None of them will cop to it being sanctioned, which I think is brilliant into itself.
But also, like, how do they get in there to this prom doing a live stream if someone's not?
We all know it requires sign-offs no matter what, but the fact that they're allowing it to be presented this way, I was like, oh, they finally got it. Hopefully. The next thing that happened, this is all in the same weekend, all in Indianapolis. I was dying to be in there. Oh yeah, it was a huge weekend. Unrivaled. Okay, for anyone who doesn't know, Unrivaled is a 3-on-3 league, and they started in January of 2025. They use a shortened court, and it's a much faster gameplay, but they have very high salaries and NIL deals for these players. And so in January of this year, instead of players going overseas from January until the middle of the year, it was shown on True TV, HBO Max, and TNT. And when TNT lost the NBA rights, I was like, this is a mess. What could they possibly do? While also being one of the people, Jamie, you just mimicked, of like, I'm kind of tired of Shaq, Ernie, and Kenny some nights. Like, I'm exhausted. I know it's sacrilege to say, but like, they weren't giving analysis or things that NBA Twitter would give me. And so I was like, why don't people from NBA Twitter get more of a voice than the voices that are getting it on the big station? That's how I was feeling about the NBA. So when Unrivaled started this winter and it was 3-on-3, it was streaming, and it was more centered around the individual players, I was like, I wonder if this is how my dad felt when he saw the ABA and like Julius Erving in the ABA before they were in the NBA, because that's how it felt when I watched the Unrivaled games. I was like, this is a better product. Unrivaled has a whole takeover day where they signed 14 of the top college stars, including AZ Fudd and Juju Watkins, to NIL deals. And like, they're doing a rollout during the WNBA's All-Star game. And I'm like, wait, so your direct competitor is across the street making the strategic announcements in front of fans and cameras and future WNBA players? And I was like, that is very interesting when you're trying to negotiate the collective bargaining agreement with your league. So that leads into the third point, which was like, Stud Budz. Okay, live stream, Twitch. Holy shit, that's great. Unrivaled, the competitive league that kicked your ass this winter and has a lot of internet presence. And then like the next day, it's said that they are doing their first conversations about restructuring the salary caps, the revenue sharing. Oh, maternity coverage. I know that's a major topic for this salary, the CBA.
Like, well, listen, I mean, the old argument about, if you don't have butts in the seats, you don't make the money doesn't necessarily hold water. The national women's soccer team went through this. The U.S. national women's soccer team went through this because they're a much better product overall than the men's team. And they're making, pittance for that. Recently, more reality TV, we watched, Katie and I have watched both seasons of the Dallas Cowboy cheerleader documentary on Netflix. So during this latest season, not to spoil,
I was wondering what platform you were about to say there. I was just
yeah. So during this season, they were under negotiations for their contracts. After the first season, which was wildly successful, people were like, "You're telling me that you make $100 or $500, something in minuscule per game that you work, and that's it? That's all you make from the Dallas Cowboys?" And so it became a big, hairy deal. So this year, before they signed their contracts, they all went in and were like, we're going to negotiate. It actually became a big part of what the show was about this year. So it was interesting. And eventually,
that's fascinating.
After the season, because, my whole thing is, first of all, the Dallas Cowboys suck. I hate you. I mean, I hate to ruin anybody's life that's a Cowboys fan out there, but you're terrible. You're awful. Jerry Jones is talking about abdicating the GM role, and he should. But the biggest thing you've got going for you, the face of your franchise, is and has always been the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. They are, they're like an institution, and you're paying them crap. Jerry Jones could break off just a little chunk for them and make it, do right by them. So it's interesting that it was a whole focus on that. So this equality in pay has become a big hairy deal. And with the WNBA, it's like its own beast now.
How are they doing NIL then? Because NIL is like college sports, right?
No, NIL is anything. Oh, I'm sorry. They're giving 14 of the best college players NIL deals. And these girls are going to be their little models. They're going to be on the court and wearing their little merch and promoting their little teams and not playing a single minute. And then next season, when each of them are the number 1 pick or the number 2 pick, then they're going to play their first season. Last year, this was Paige Beckers. So Paige Beckers got an NIL deal from Unrivaled, and everyone was like, but she can't play for you guys. But she was in every commercial. And I was like, oh, that's cute. They're using her like an intern, was like the commercials around it. And I was like, that's adorable. And then this season, it was like Paige is going to make like 6 times the amount of any of these other hoes in Unrivaled when she starts. And I was like, oh, that's the way. You get them now with the professional money in college, and then it's sad because the NCAA should have found out a way to pay these motherfuckers so that we're not here, but they didn't figure it out. So now we are here. So now there are startups and businesses starting all around it.
And it was funny because they were kind of dunking on the players on the court, that they were like, yeah, if these guys had stayed in college a little longer, like they'd probably be better. And they just kept talking about like certain players and like, yeah, like so-and-so probably would have actually made it in the league. Like they just got stuck in the G League. But like if they had, spent like 2 more years in college, like they probably would have actually been good. So they kept going through all these, like, it felt like the same old tired argument. It was a little bit different in that they were both very supportive of NIL money. They were like, yes, pay these fools. Like college players should absolutely be getting as much money as they can get. Like otherwise it's essentially communism and or slavery, both of which I think the Republicans hate. I don't know.
These days, either of them.
I know. So like, so they're all about the money, but what they were ragging on was the transfer portal. In that they were like, players shouldn't be able to just jump from team to team to team because they don't learn like consistency. And they were talking about how that actually really poorly prepares them for pro basketball.
Where you're stuck.
You get signed to a team and you're stuck and you might hate it. And they might say, we don't care. We are not trading you. We're not doing anything. You get your ass on the court and you go play. Like you figure it out.
Just like any emerging, business or media, we've had so many recently. We've had so many things that just have broken the mold for each industry, right? Like Uber has broken the taxi industry and Airbnb has broken the hotel industry. And, now the NIL has broken college sports and, it's on and on and on. Amazon breaking the USPS, all of that. So we've had so much of it. It's interesting. Streamers it just absolutely shattered the movie industry, so it's like this, it's like this period of, two virgins trying to figure out how to have sex. They just don't know what they're doing. We don't know where it's going. Is it in the right hole? I don't know. I'm just having a great time. What's happening right now? And I feel like that's
the nation is watching.
Yeah. It's kind of like, is my mom coming in? What is that? The dog's nose? What's going on? So it's kind of like we're trying to figure out what to do with all this stuff, and hopefully it'll shake out into something, a little more coherent. And, like with streamers, you're seeing it. We're going back to ads now. Why did we get rid of cable in the first place? If now we're going back to, you broke it and now we're going back to it. You broke the mold, and now we're going back to a subscription service that has, you can pay this much and get ad-free content, or, in order for me to watch Peaky Blinders, I have to pay $26 a month to Netflix because their commercial-free situation is so much more expensive, and Peaky Blinders isn't set up to do commercials. So I'm actually filming a show, and I can't tell you which one, for Sarandos.
Oh. That's exciting.
Possibly Friday, maybe Monday.
Well, possibly Friday, maybe Monday.
I haven't heard. So usually the way this thing works is I'll get a call that'll say, hey, you need to come in for a wardrobe fitting. And that's usually a couple days before the shoot. And I haven't gotten that call yet.
Okay.
But I've gotten the booking. So I know I'm at least going to get paid, which has happened before. Like I got cast in a recurring role in a show called Army Wives. A big part. It's going to be huge. And then I stopped.
I love Army Wives.
Yes. I was going to be the head of the MP division of the Army base that they were on. And then I stopped getting scripts one day, and I called my agent and I was like, hey, so what's going on here? And they were like, yeah, we went a different way. I was like, God, awesome. Sweet. Cool. I'm going to go back to waiting tables. So I'll see you later. I got a 2-top over on 90. Let me go.
Now we're shifting from power plays on the court to legacy in the kitchen, because Will's been touched by something we're calling Dead Greg's Cookbook. And yes, it's exactly what it sounds like.
Instagram this week came through hot for me with Dead Uncle Greg. There's this dude, his sort of like estranged Uncle Greg passed away and left him his cook bag, I believe they refer to it. And it is like a Ziploc freezer bag just packed full of handwritten recipes that looked like they could have been like written by a doctor. And most of them, I think I felt immediately connected to it because a lot of them look very similar to a number of the recipes that I have made. The guy makes this little wheel, he spins the wheel, and they're making recipes out of this bag. I think they did it as kind of obviously a joke to start, but some of the recipes seem legit. So the one that I sent you guys is they're making, like, it's a party app. So a party appetizer, which is grilled cheese. Not what I would typically make for a party appetizer, but hey, I'm not gonna, say anything bad about how Uncle Greg likes to live his life and party, or lived his life, rest in peace. And the two guys, so there's a guy and his roommate. I think they're roommates. They're both, one dude is kind of more of a chef, and the other guy had the uncle. So he gets to be there and also taste the food. And then they do like a test and they like rate the food at the end. And the grilled cheese looked incredible. They were both just falling out of their chair. It was so good. And it hit me in a number of different ways. I just thoroughly enjoyed the videos. They're well made. The guys are entertaining. And there's a lot of them. So I got to watch a few, sent them to my wife because I was also like, I kind of want to try these recipes myself. But then it also hit me in another place, which is this website and app called Uncrate. And they have just kind of all this ridiculous bougie stuff. I like to window shop on it. I'm not going to be buying a yacht or a Rolex anytime soon, or a $10 million island off the coast of Costa Rica or anything like that. They do sometimes have completely normal things that a human being could buy that aren't only available to billionaires. But Dead Greg's cook bag showed up on Uncrate, and you can buy like 30 of his recipes, and they're doing a whole thing. And it was just amazing to me how fast these things move sometimes, and that it just gets out there. So like, it was funny to me.
the Ziploc bags and just knowing that was going to get them through generations and they're right. That's the weird part. So that was the first thing where I was like, oh, those are like, this is legit because they don't even sell some of those versions of the Ziploc bags anymore. I can tell, like,
yes,
it was when they used to do variations, I was like, oh, this is a 90s Ziploc bag. So I first saw that. And then the whole uncrate thing, I was like, oh, I don't know what I'm looking at because they thought about the brand beyond just these recipes that hit you in the heart.
But yeah, it's all those recipes. I've got a bunch of fancy ones that like my family members have given to me, and I don't use any of those. It's all it is all the ones that are just scribbled on the back of a napkin.
Yeah.
It is crazy. But it also hit me in a much deeper way too, because like me and Paige are not having kids. I don't know if Greg had kids or not, but the vibe is probably not. Since he's kind of estranged and there's no mention of cousins or anything like that.
Yeah.
And it was just interesting to me that like Greg's legacy was dubious in the beginning. We didn't know what it was going to be, but it's actually this really great sharing of love. And as someone who's like really deeply into cooking, like it hit me in a great way that like I do write down just my dumb recipes that I make because one, I want to make them again, but two, I've always wondered what may or may not happen to them. And I just need to give them to like maybe one of my like nieces or nephews that like I don't see as much, give that to them. And then they can start like a TikTok channel.
What do y'all do with your recipes? Because we have so many that are just online recipes. Like I have a website that I go to for specific, I love to bake.
Yeah.
I go, but I don't have any hard copies of these recipes. And I, certainly because I judge my recipes, I don't do what they tell me to do. I do shit that I want to do. So it's interesting that, what do we do? I don't have a Ziploc baggie full of recipes, but I kind of want it.
But not everything powerful comes with clarity. Sometimes it's chaos and a kiss cam. Let's talk about that Coldplay couple and our collective love of a public downfall.
Moving on.
We go into the annual billionaire sacrifice, or
yes, let's talk about the annual billionaire sacrifice. So here's my only thing with this. I mean, we have to touch it just because it's been so everywhere. I mean, the whole Coldplay thing and Coldplay. So Coldplay's been very funny about this whole thing. No matter what you think about Coldplay, and all I always go back to the Family Guy thing where Peter Griffin is in Coldplay, and he goes, "Hey, remember that time we didn't play music that sucks?" And then he got kicked out of Coldplay. If you haven't seen it, and I can't imagine that you haven't seen it, they were showing crowd reactions, and they caught a couple hugging in the stands, and when the couple realized they were on camera, they acted a fool and fell out. The dude hit himself, dropped down, disappeared. The woman turned around and just freaked out. Obviously, they were, having an affair, and it just went crazy. My whole thing with that, which will lead into my bigger topic later on.
Don't react when you're caught.
Well, there's that. And you couldn't have faked a Heimlich. Or you couldn't have just not reacted, because if they had just stayed still, the camera would have moved on and nobody would have said a thing. But they couldn't do that. But my whole thing is, here I am enjoying the hell out of this, right? For personal reasons, it's kind of triggering on a number of levels. But I'm enjoying the hell out of this, and the internet did its job and just went crazy with it. But it leads me to my bigger topic, which is, why do we enjoy watching people fall? I find it very interesting. And Coldplay has since come out a couple of times. They put out a tweet that said, and I'm paraphrasing, but it said something like, "From now on, we'll have an adulterers section where no cameras are allowed in our stadium." And then he said, the video that I linked in our little prep sheet talked about how he the next night he came on screen and he was like, "All right, so we want to get to know our audience a little bit. So we're going to turn the cameras around now and we're going to show some people. So ladies, if you haven't done your makeup, now's a good time to do your makeup." Wink, wink. Right. So, I mean, they're playing along with this pretty, unremorsefully, and I'm here for it. But we would have been remiss to not at least touch upon it.
Okay, why I enjoyed it so much is because I have seen so many of my friends fumble while lying during their adulterous period, and watching that person who I don't know and have no skin in the game fumble their life in real time. I enjoyed it. And I wouldn't have enjoyed it so much if they didn't tell me what they did for a living. That was the other side of it, is like, the first feeling was a lot of people feeling triggered because, more than half of the world likely goes through something that is very painful like that. So there's that feeling that you're overcoming, or like your parents had a very acrimony, like people were triggered over that thing. But then they revealed what they did for a living and what their page looked like with the rest of their employees. I don't want to say it was United Healthcare and Luigi all over, or whatever that healthcare insurance, but it was Luigi vibes where we were like,
yeah.
I encountered his daughter, who is, you imagine, raised with a very healthy bank account and background. She was doing sponsored branded ads about going on a vacation after finding out that her dad cheated on her mom around the world. Like, Expedia and her had a thing.
Wow.
And people in the comments were like, I do not feel bad for rich people, even when terrible shit happens. Yeah. And she made a reply TikTok that said, "You shouldn't. My life is so great." And she was dancing on like an island. And I was like, holy shit.
I'm never using Expedia again, is what I just heard there. No.
Poor Expedia. I'm sure it was someone like
But Airbnb. We will take you as a sponsor, Expedia, if you're listening.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why, no. I don't want that. I don't want that billionaire blood money.
2 to 3 vote you out, kid.
No.
We'll take Expedia's money.
I think like, yeah, just reiterating what Steph said though, like, I think a huge part of it is, it's like when you see someone mess up in that way that's been lying about so many things, we all kind of enjoy it.
Yeah, justice.
Who doesn't love to see someone get there, especially when, I mean, in our current cultural climate of corporations and the like, I'm going to shake my finger at you. And like, I've got all the family values, but I'm like in the gas station bathroom, like having sex with young boys. It's like, these things are like, everyone kind of loves it when those people get busted, because it's just like,
oh yeah,
you preach all this crap to us. And then you find out that like, this isn't some like mom and pop shop. This dude's a billionaire. And it's just like, I think it just magnified it so much, because it's another, I feel like billionaires have become this new version in a way of like, oh, you are cheating on all of us.
And that brings us to the intersection of appliances, identity, and moral clarity, aka Will's hot take on gas stoves.
I hate gas stoves. And I know it's a ridiculous hot take. Literally. And I will probably get
literally
a large amount of hate for this, but I just don't like them anymore. I had a gas stove for probably 5 years-ish. Loved it then. I was like, this is the pinnacle of cooking. This is incredible. And then we moved, we got a new place, and it had an induction stove. And if you don't know what an induction stove is it's science in your kitchen. But the induction one, it's glass, but what it does is it uses science. Don't ask me to explain it because I don't actually know, but you have to have a ferrous metal in your pan. So you have to have cast iron or like the fancier, like all clad stuff. The enamelware works, so like Le Creuset and those sorts of pans work just fine, but it heats the object, not the surface. So the pan is the pan is the only thing that gets hot. So you can move the pan after it's like 1,000 degrees, and like 5 minutes later, the stove will just be completely cool. It is wild and amazing, and it heats water like so fast. Like you can boil a pot of water in minutes. And I thought I was going to fall asleep tonight waiting for this gas stove to heat a normal pan of water so I could make some pasta. I mean, it probably took, I'm being so ridiculous though, it probably took 5 minutes. When I say the things that make me annoyed about a gas stove, it's so complaining. Like, it's so hot.
The one thing I will say about everything is that time, you cannot get that back. And I think you're seeing a reduction of effective time management. And that will, in fact, drive you crazy. Like, I'm like, you take that as a personal offense from anything or anyone that it has inefficiently spent your time. So I feel bad for this oven. It's kind of, I'm like, this is going to be a bad ride for the oven.
Aside from my gripiness about gas and induction, I do have to say that if you are considering a stove upgrade, aside from bouginess in like speed and just quality of cooking and how happy you are, they are actually incredibly safe. So like if you have little kids, like the stove doesn't get hot. You can put paper down and put your pan on top of it if you don't like cleaning, because then it will sputter onto the paper and it won't burn the paper because it's just the pan that's getting hot. So if you do have like little kids, or like if you are, let's say like me, and prone to burning yourself because you believe you can pick up anything no matter how hot it is, like an idiot, and you never learn, it is actually quite a bit safer than any other stove on the market, like because a normal electric stove still gets really hot. And this one is even like right after you move a pan, it's like it's warm, but it's not super duper hot. Don't go touching hot stoves, everyone. Please don't do that.
Okay. Now from heat in the kitchen to heat in the booth, let's talk about Clipse. Faith, Virginia Pride, and their new album that's basically scripture for grown folks. Cooking can sometimes reference the cocaine or drug game. And recently an album was put out by a group that has been categorized as cocaine rappers. They're not, but the Clipse, they put out a new album in 15 years. They haven't done a project together. They're brothers. They're born and raised in Virginia Beach, very close to Pharrell Williams. That's how they put out an album, and it is nearly perfect. And like, I'm a fan of music, but as someone who's actively trying to live in faith and walk confidently in my calling, it's a pretty great album without it being churchy, gospel, or incredibly spiritual. I think that Malice, the brother that hasn't been rapping as regularly all of this time, he's brought back like a clarity, and he stopped rapping to basically focus on being a better husband, actually maybe partner and father, but also Christian. But then both his parents died, and he was like, I'm going to go back to rapping with my brother in this group. And so what's great about the Clipse is, again, born and raised in Virginia, both very rooted in that space. They did 71 interviews. They talked to every media journalist, from the New York Times to XXL, which I was like, you guys are still around, to every possible podcaster that they could talk to who was in the space for a review and for like to talk this album up. And they did nearly no social media press. Everything that they did was essentially clips from in-person and real life interviews. And when they were pushed on it, they were like, I mean, we think the music and the art is so good that we'd like to actually go in front of journalists and people that know the genre and like be asked questions about it. We don't think that this album gives itself over to social media algorithms, and the message can't be consumed in that way either. So I found that to be the case. I think that there are a lot of lines in it that I take really, really personally, and I find it refreshing. But they do a good job of living in their faith, but also like walking in their work without shame. They do a lot of comparisons of when they were in the drug game compared to when they got out of it and started making money and art for the truth and like beauty of it. And they compare their lifestyles often to when they weren't living in that way. And they do it in a really compelling way that makes you think like, I want to age as an artist. And it would be great to see 50-year-old and 40-year-old rappers because it sounds amazing. It's great to see aging rappers who have something to say at that age. So it's been like the main thing I've been consuming. It's really hard to listen to any other album right now. And a lot of shit sounds really bad comparatively to it. So yeah, that's like, I shared a few clips of the Clipse and how people are breaking it down. It's been amazing to watch younger hip hop fans understand the lyrics and break them down for all of the different double and triple entendres that they're meaning in it. And it's good. So that is.
Well, I am dying to listen to this album. I think it's what I'm probably going to do when we're done here tonight, because every single album you've ever sent me, Steph, is just perfect.
I'm worried you're going to cry. I don't want you to don't do it tonight.
It's okay. It's okay for men to cry. It's all right. I'm good. I love a good cry. I cried when I found out Ozzy Osbourne died. Weird birthday present. Thanks a lot, Ozzy. No,
that was on your birthday.
But no, like, I think the thing I want to say is I'm partly really excited about this because I love like old man game in a way. Like, I feel like society, especially as of recent with, I think, the startup world and everything, just because it's much easier to take young college kids who can work 150 hours a week and put them through the ringer, force them. Like, you can't get an adult to do that. Like, you can't get me to try and do a startup like that. It ain't gonna happen. So there's been this shift, and maybe it's always been this way, and I'm just feeling it more poignantly since I'm getting older. But there's always this emphasis on like, oh, like young people are like they're gonna figure out the coolest and most amazing things. Like, man, the Colonel, 60 years old when he started KFC. I'm just saying, some people do their greatest work later in life. Most entrepreneurs get their start at the age of like 41. Like, the average is 41 or 42 or something like that when they actually.
Morgan Freeman.
Yeah. So, I mean, like,
Freeman was like 50 something before he got his first role.
Like, so, and like Steve Carell is another guy who came into it later in life. It's just like a lot of people grind for a long time and then things start to click and they do something cool when they're younger. I think it is always really inspiring to see people who do something that's pretty amazing when they're younger and then they come back to it. Because whatever that next thing is always like, oh, you've been like refining and working, learning and growing in this specific thing for decades. And that's a lot of time on this earth to be focused on one specific thing. So whatever it is. And I think too, just the fact that their approach was like, yeah, we're not going to do a bunch of like song and dance, 4-hour song and dance. Like, we're just going to go straight to the telling people how good it is. And we're just going to let it trickle out. Essentially, it's a strong move.
I also got to say, it's really interesting for me. I think it's really cool because I know you two are the same way. I find this new stuff. There's so many levels and layers to some of this new information, these new topics that we're talking about. And I know y'all are both deep dive kind of people. So you'll find something and then you'll just go in on it and try to find these layers. As a casual hip hop fan, as a casual fan of rap. I know some of the basics. I know some of the, some of the stuff, some of the history. But man, there's so much out there that I don't know. And it's really cool to kind of find that. And it's, it's also interesting. My kids, my two older kids, I had no idea that they were doing these deep dives too. Because Ben and I were talking one day, and I'm putting on Tribe Called Quest, and I'm putting on some things, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I've got this on this playlist, and you should check this." And I was like, "Wait, what do you know about some of this '90s, this early '90s, late '90s? What do you know about all that?" Because he's 15 years old, or well, now he's 19, but at that point, I mean, and he knew. It's interesting that they're willing to go and do those deep dives.
To close, Jamie's taking us from the ridiculous to the redemptive, with some thoughts on Superman, hope, and what the media should be amplifying.
In this day and age, the way things are, Superman is this tremendous breath of fresh air. And I call it a hope bomb, because you walk out of that theater and you just feel so good. You feel cleansed and you feel washed. And you feel like you just stood in a cold waterfall and shook the garbage that we've been going through over the past decade or whatever. And you just kind of cleanse all of that off you. There are a couple of moments in the film where he says some things and some lines, and I'm not going to give it away because I know Will's going to see it this weekend, and I really encourage you guys to see it in the theater because it's awesome in the theater. It's campy, it's old school kind of superhero film, but they do a great job of giving the spirit kind of an uplift. It's really, really, really awesome. But that kind of leads us into this thing, and not everybody on this podcast had seen it yet. It's the Jubilee clip. I included the clip in the show notes, but most of the internet world has seen this, where one of the reporters that's got a famous kind of debating background, Mehdi Hassan, I think I'm saying his name right, sits in a ring of 20 conservatives, and he just debates them. And they're all very young conservatives, and I believe he was in Texas for this one. And these people are very far right-wing conservatives. And the gist of it is that they come out and they debate him on points, immigration and the economy and foreign policy, and they just debate him on the whole kit and caboodle. But the tone is so acidic and so very nasty and it makes you feel dirty, right? Because you hear these folks openly talk about being fascists. And one guy was saying how he was Native American and he's clearly Caucasian. And Hassan was like, "No, you're not. You're a colonizer. You're not a Native American." And he's like, "Yes, I am. I'm Native American. White is Native American." And the ring applauds. And it's like, it's intense. And my takeaway from it was, this extreme opinion exists, and it really is going to be hard to overcome. And then when I sat back, I thought, we're really giving voice to these people by showing this over and over and over and over again and flooding the media with this. And it makes everything heavy and gross, and we're not giving voice. We're not amplifying those voices that are on the other side of the aisle. And one of the comments that I made on an Instagram post was, yes, these were handpicked people because of their venom, because they knew they were going to get this. They knew that this was going to be clickbait. They knew that this was going to drive interaction. They're not picking, and I'm not going to use my kids every podcast, but they're not picking my kids who are on the opposite end of the spectrum. They're not picking me. They're not picking Will. They're not picking Steph. Those people are getting this amplification of their vitriol when maybe we shouldn't be doing that. Maybe we should be amplifying hope and messages of strength and messages of unity and of justice and of all of those things that Superman brings to the table. And I'm telling you, when you guys, there's a moment where Superman is having a conversation with Lex Luthor that brings a tear to the eye. It is just so well done. And it is just spiritually cleansing. And I'm really glad that I saw it when I did. And I hope that James Gunn can continue to give messages like that to people so they can continue with their daily lives and not feel overwhelmed. Because I do get overwhelmed by it. I get overwhelmed by the negativity. And it doesn't have to be that way. But there's a fine line, right? You don't want to stop because you don't want these people to get away with the bullshit. But you got to protect your heart. You got to protect your soul. You got to protect your family. That's how I got it. That's what I got
Perfectly
for you.
Put. One follow-up. Was there anything educational or redeemable about that video?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you can sit through and stomach some of the things that they're saying, because a lot of it is that, I told y'all in pre-production, one of the comments was, ladies, cover your drinks, because every single one of them looks like a date rapist. I mean, they all have the most punchable faces you'll ever see. But Hassan comes back with, they'll throw some kind of ludicrous nonsense out that they've gotten from Newsmax or Fox or, any one of these outlets that just comes up with the most bizarre, nonsensical, non-reality stats. And then Hassan is able to sit there, process what they're saying, and give back actual facts, actual statistics, actual policies. So there is a lot to be learned from it, for sure. So, you could definitely, if you can stomach the vitriol, because a lot of it is cringe, a lot of cringe. But if you can sit through some of it, you definitely will get a message.
This is a timely video for me. One, because I can also stomach a lot of bullshit, so I'm actually quite excited to watch this. But I've had this feeling over the last few weeks, and it's come because of threads. And there are a number of people who I follow who fight back, right? They comment back. Jamie, you're one of them. On people who
Can't stop
post,
myself, Will.
Yeah, who post like really dumb things. And I've had this curiosity, and I think it's in line with what you're saying, Jamie. And I haven't fully processed this thought out, so don't kill me for it. But it's like you commenting on it amplified that person to me. I would have never seen it if you hadn't commented on it. So, and this could be like a specific threads thing, but I think this is in general. It's like the more you comment on someone's post, whether it's Reddit, Twitter, or X, like threads, like whatever it is, the more comments, the more engagement it gets, the more the algorithms promote it to all these people. So I know you can't just ignore what's going on, right? But it's almost like not engaging with a child that's having a tantrum. Like you just have to let them tantrum it out, and then you engage with them once they stop. Or like a dog that's freaking out, like you don't rush in there, you don't react to them. So I've had this growing curiosity on this subject of like, is it actually better to just completely ignore these people on social media in these platforms and just, you see it, just keep moving, don't say anything? Or is that enhancing the echo chamber more? Or like, I don't know enough, but I have this feeling about boundaries and not re-amplifying.
So there's two things to that. Number one, I think, yes, you should probably ignore everything on social media and just not interact, because social media is, to me, for the most part, it's the worst of humanity. So at some point there has to be a line, and some of it, people, the awareness of people to say, okay, when ICE is taking a person without a warrant, without identification, covering their face, then I can step in and say, I'm calling 911, because the cops will then have to make you identify yourself. Even if they side with ICE, they will have to make you identify yourself. You don't learn that unless you're seeing it on TikTok. You don't learn that unless you're seeing it on Instagram. right?
Yeah.
So where's the line? And I totally, my therapist wife would say, don't engage. She would say, don't engage. And yet, it's hard.
Here we are.
It's a hard line. It's a real hard line. So I don't know where to stand with that. Other than go watch Superman.
That's good advice no matter what. Good episode. Good episode, guys. Good episode. Anything you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I was going to say, we have to take this out on a positive note, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, well, okay. I have two things. Two things of the upcoming week. You're going to hear more from me about this subject. Klay Thompson, 4-time NBA champion, is dating Grammy Award-winning Megan Thee Stallion.
Okay.
Real hardcore shit.
It is bringing me so much joy to see this uptight, nerd-identified man with this certified bad bitch. And it is the greatest. I hope they have tall children together or just a very tall breakup, but them both being so tall and pretty. It's what I'm going to be leaning into next week. And Tyler, the Creator, put out a surprise album. And I love him. Behind me, I have Chromacopia, his most recent album that released in like October of last year. And he's released a new album like as of Friday. And I need to check that out. So, and he's a big Clipse fan. And he keeps talking about how the Clipse raised him. And I'm like, okay, this album better be good if you're attaching your name to them. So I will be back with judgments. So that's me. It's going to be very light subject matter next week.
I'm looking forward to organizing our new home and purging probably about half the things we own because I don't need to own this much stuff and I don't know where most of it came from. I don't believe I bought it. There's no way. There's no way that I bought all this junk.
Definitely did that shit.
That and continuing to enjoy how much the dogs love our new house and neighborhood and they can just run around and chase each other and have a good time. So I think it's going to be a week or two of simple things and kind of getting back into normal life and recording video. I'm really looking forward to having some time to record more stuff. So
my big thing is Thursday night, Fantastic Four. Ben and I are going to the midnight showing. We have a history of going to see Marvel movies on their release at the time of release. So I'm really stoked about that. It's apparently outstanding. And then I've got like 5 book deadlines that I'm working on right now. So I'm going to knock out a couple of them in the next couple of days. And then I'm going to film this project with a very famous Florida State graduate. Don't know.
Burt Reynolds?
I actually don't know if he actually graduated. I do know that he went to FA.
Okay.
It's not Burt Reynolds.
I love breadcrumbs.
It's definitely not Burt Reynolds.
It's not Burt Reynolds. But, he wouldn't be that proud.
Yeah. Burt died a hot minute ago.
Yeah, he did.
And that's what I got.
I don't believe you.
Yeah. Fake news.
Fake news.
Can't be real.
That's it for this week's Take It Personal. If you're feeling it, leave us a review. Follow us on TikTok and YouTube at TakeItPersonal_podcast. And tell your favorite player or Uncle Chef about us. We'll be back next week with more that's a little messy, a little meaningful, and always personal.